Hello, welcome to the marketplace. Coming up this afternoon, total value of mobile money transactions last year surges to 3 trillion cedis, according to new data released by the Bank of Ghana. We'll make sense of the latest figures. Also coming up, government records 33% oversubscription of Treasury bills for the second week running. We have your financial markets update. Plus, the U.S. urges more favorable terms for American exports to Ghana.
Balanced trade relationship, which is quite, I think, in Ghana's favor as far as we talk about the negotiations on a new trade deal with Ghana. But I wish I could say that that was the same for American exports to Ghana.
My name is Darryl Powell. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. The total value of mobile money transactions last year set to 3 trillion cedis, according to new data released by the Bank of Ghana. The figures captured in the bank's latest report highlights the continued growth and dominance of digital payments in the country's financial ecosystem. Here's more in this report.
This actually represented almost 60% jump over the 1.9 trillion cedis recorded in 2023. The total amount posted in 2024 also showed that in 1 year, the total value of transactions shot up by more than 1 billion cedis. The spike again can be linked to more persons using the platform as payment for various transactions. The total number of registered accounts stood at 73 million. However, only 23.5% were active last year. Another interesting development from the report was that the number of active mobile money agents dropped significantly to 404,000 for last year. The latest economic and financial data released by the Bank of Ghana shows we are on course to beat the 2025 numbers. This is because, ending October this year, total value of transaction has reached 3.2 trillion cedis.
On Zoom, Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, to make sense of these latest figures. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. What do you understand to be the key factors driving the sharp rise in mobile money transactions to over 3 trillion cedis, and how sustainable is this growth?
Impressive if you look at the numbers and you compare it to that of last year. And the factors are basically the agent-to-agent transfers that we see, the bank-to-wallet transfer, the wallet-to-bank transfer, business-to-business transfer is also increasing, then also person-to-person transfers. These are some of the factors that are influencing the numbers that we are seeing. We can also talk about the soft and strong architecture that is helping these high-level and high-volume transactions, the speed and efficiency, and then the risk management system in place that is supporting these levels of transaction. These are basically the factors that are influencing the numbers we are seeing.
You talk about agent-to-agent transactions which continue to dominate mobile money values. What does it say about the country's digital payments ecosystem?
See, the agent-to-agent numbers has a lot of factors influencing that. The major one is an issue of demand and supply system that we have, where it is very possible that in certain agent locations, there is oversupply of cash compared to withdrawals, and in other locations, there is massive withdrawals and less deposits. So when that happens is that the agent will have to find a way of transferring cash or e-money among themselves just to be able to meet customer or retailers' need based on where they are. It shows us that the telcos together with Bank of Ghana will have to look at, because if the agents are not evenly spread out in terms of the value and transactions that they are able to provide, then it is most likely that in certain areas of the countries, there is an imbalance there. Hence, the agents among themselves who have to transact or send money across just to manage their float and e-cash balance.
And with transaction volumes rising, what does it say about consumer behavior and also consumer confidence in digital finance?
Okay, what this is telling us is that our system is finally accepting mobile money. We are finally going day in, day out, confidence about that system of transferring money and making use of money. It's about acceptance of this digital system of transacting. No wonder we are seeing these heavy numbers. So it is good for the country and it is good for the economy because we are accepting it and we are making use of it.
And also based on the report, internet and mobile banking have more than doubled in value. How significant is the shift from traditional banking to financial inclusion?
It is significant, and what it means is that, look, at this point in time, banks cannot afford to basically mount brick and mortar type of business. No, banks must be fast enough to unleash digital solutions because that is what is happening, that is a wave. It is no longer an option. It is something that banks must consider. Yes, it is true that for the few years, banks have tried also to match up with the change and wave in the forms of money and how money is being used to transact business in terms of digital money. So it is the case that banks will now have to, and they have no option, they have to partner if they have to, and they shouldn't see the space as competition. Move away from the traditional brick and mortar business model, and then move more into digital platform and digital solutions.
As digital payments grow rapidly, what are some of the risks we should be concerned about?
We can talk about fraud and social engineering. Yes, the fraudsters will be within the space to take advantage, because what is happening is that physical cash, which used to be the main form of transaction, is now changing its form. And definitely, the criminals and the fraudsters will always target where the money is. So if the money has now changed form to be more digital, then there is all possibility that the fraudsters will also move into that space. It is not only the fraudsters in Ghana, we are also likely to see fraudsters coming across borders who will not be in Ghana, but they'll be far off in other locations way outside Ghana, and they'll be able to penetrate the system that we have because this is internet and this digital platform. So we are also opening ourselves up to what I'll call off-site and far-off fraudsters playing within our system and taking advantage of unsuspecting users of the system. What we need to do is digital financial literacy and financial literacy to educate the consumers that you have to be careful, you have to be sure of your PIN, you always have to double check and not just click on anything simply because you have received a link to do this or to do that. And of course, Bank of Ghana must also support the system with the needed regulatory support and infrastructure to help make this new wave a success.
You've described the figures as impressive. My final question would be, how does this help our economy for those wondering?
There's a lot of opportunities in there. The first one that we all know is that now you can just use your phone to contract a loan facility. Those days, you have to visit a financial institution and then try to build up a credit history to be able to get a loan facility. Today, just with registering a SIM card, you can start building your credit by being faithful in servicing your loan. This used not to be the case. Now we are seeing that. What we are also seeing is that a lot of businesses are now trying to use this same mobile supported credit infrastructure to sell their products, where you can also buy on credit with your account being debited over time. It used not to be the case. So it is a new way, and I believe that many of the businesses we see will try to also use this digital platform to sell their products and to provide their services, which may be physical, but the means of payment will be the digital means.
Very well. Thank you so much. Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa. Appreciate your time on the marketplace. Well, the United States government says it is hopeful that Ghana will issue favorable tariffs on goods and services coming from the United States, similar to the terms being offered by the U.S. under a number of frameworks, including the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. Although the Trump administration says it supports the idea of renewing AGOA, which is facing expiration, Congress is yet to conclude processes on its renewal. However, speaking at a media roundtable in Accra, U.S. State Department's Deputy Assistant Secretary for West Africa, William Stevens, explained most of Ghana's valuable exports are exempt from President Trump's global tariffs, hence the need to reduce the higher rates for American goods coming into Ghana.
So I can't answer the specifics about AGOA. The president has made it clear that the United States government, or the executive branch, supports a one-year renewal of AGOA. We've advocated for that, but it's actually on Congress to renew, the legislative branch. There were hearings this week on a proposed bill to renew AGOA, and we're hopeful that that will happen. We're hopeful that we'll see that. But it's important to recognize a few of the components of AGOA. AGOA has been a unilateral U.S. trade concession to African nations, right? 0% tariffs for anything in something like 3,000 plus protected categories of goods. As we look at the trade relationship with Ghana today, which is somewhere between $3.5 to $4 billion, up from only $2 billion just a couple of years ago. So it's a growing trade relationship. Most of, if not the vast majority of the goods that Ghana is sending are exempted from the 15% baseline tariff. So the tariffs that are being imposed on Ghana are actually the lowest tariff globally. It's a global kind of tariff, with the exception of the few countries where we've actually finished trade negotiations. But things like in the oil sector, cocoa, are not tariffed. So I don't see that will be impacted in the trade relationship. It's a relatively balanced trade relationship, which is quite, I think, in Ghana's favor as far as we talk about the negotiations on a new trade deal with Ghana. But I wish I could say that was the same for American exports to Ghana, which are taxed or tariffed at quite a high rate across a whole suite of goods. So we hope that as we open American markets to Ghanaian goods, that you'll see Ghanaian markets open to American goods more freely. Because, as I said, if we're in a negotiation as equals, we need to treat each other with reciprocity.
You're watching The Marketplace. We are taking a short break. When we come back, we've got your financial markets updates. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the marketplace. We begin with the Treasury market. Government recorded 33% oversubscription of Treasury bills for the second week running. This oversubscription is positive because the target was high compared to a much reduced target in the previous week. However, interest rates on the short end of the market continue to rise. Here's more in this Business Desk report.
Government got 9.2 billion cedis as against the target of 6.9 billion cedis. It, however, accepted 8.5 billion Ghana cedis worth of bids from the investors. A little over 70% of the bids came from the 91-day bill. About 6.56 billion Ghana cedis of the bids were tendered. The uptake was 6.50 billion Ghana cedis. For the 182-day bill, 1.32 billion Ghana cedis of the bids were tendered. Bids accepted were estimated to the tune of 1.27 billion cedis. Also, 1.40 billion cedis of the bids were tendered for the 364-day bill. A little over 730 million Ghana cedis of the bids were accepted. Meanwhile, interest rates rose on 91-day and 364-day bill. The yield on the 91-day bill increased by 3 basis points to 11.11%. Part of the 182-day bill, however, dropped by a basis point to 12.5%. The yield on the 364-day bill, however, went up by 38 basis points to 13.08%.
While on the stock market, we've got our eyes on Cowbank Gold PLC, also Standard Chartered Bank, as well as Enterprise Life Insurance. We will be following with updates subsequently. In other news, President of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce, Linda Vasnani, is asking government to further scrap what she describes as other nuisance taxes that continue to burden businesses. She made the call at the Chamber's end-of-year party, where she noted that although some taxes have been removed in recent years, several levies are still increasing the cost of doing business and discouraging investment. Here's more.
Ghana Chamber of Commerce at the event said removing these taxes will help create a more business-friendly environment, attract investors, and boost economic growth.
Business environment, I still believe that the government needs to do a bit more in creating the enabling environment for business people. What do I mean? First of all, even though they scrap some taxes, the taxes are still a lot. I believe we need to stabilize the exchange rate. The fluctuation is actually affecting businesses. So we need a more stable rate, and we need to see the government involved in more projects to develop the infrastructure.
Meanwhile, the Canadian High Commissioner to Ghana says Canada is exploring diverse ways to support economies, particularly through trade, investment, and private sector partnerships.
So Ghana and Canada have a long-standing relationship. We go way back since the independence of Ghana. We've been here, with international development programs. We're among the first. Now, Canada has a new Africa strategy, and part of this strategy, it's about reinforcing the relationship that we have on multiple levels, including trade. When we're talking about trade, we're also talking about leveraging the diaspora. We have a vibrant diaspora that is also living in Canada, and they're also contributing to the country. But more than that, Canada is looking at diversifying trade. We need to find new partners. We would like to increase the exchange between our two countries. We have a lot to contribute. President Mahama has been talking about Ghana being open for business, and then Canada is ready to respond. And that means that we can offer expertise in the area of agriculture, in the area of clean energy, in the area of technical and vocational training.
The Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce has reiterated its commitment to strengthen economic cooperation with Ghana and supporting initiatives that promote sustainable development.
All right, that's our program, everyone. Thanks for watching. There is more news on our website, myjournline.com/business. More on our top story: mobile money transactions hit 3 trillion Ghana cedis as digital payments surge, according to the Bank of Ghana. Also, Ghana Card becomes mandatory for insurance transactions from 2026. myjournline.com/business. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time tomorrow.